George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people that we feel good about. Maurice Mo Brown, as we like to call him, is an Onondaga County Legislator representing the 15th Legislative District. Maurice is also a veteran. He's also a proud alum of Onondaga Community College. And then I know where did you go from there?
SU, Syracuse.
Syracuse University, proud SU grad. Let's go Orange. But more importantly, no, I shouldn't say more importantly, he's a Knicks fan. And so with that right there, right? So Mo, before we get into the serious stuff, the aquarium and your concerns around that and your outspoken concerns about that, and I think you and I talked, I was like, but I don't mind the aquarium. So, but you know, we can have that conversation. But let's talk about the Knicks, my bro. So how did you become a Knicks fan, New York Knicks fan? Because the Knicks have not been good for a long time. So I always curious of how young fans came to be Knicks. See, I'm a lost cause. Okay. I'm lost. You know,
it's too late. It's too late to turn back.
No, I'm in the 12-76 record or whatever it was. Derek Fisher, all of that. You know,
Yep. I mean that's recent though. That's
recent, but I'm saying I stuck through that.
Okay, yeah, because you could have got out. A lot of people got out when the Nets came. That was like the easy out.
Let me just tell you something. Funny thing, right? This dude, right? He's a friend of ours, Syracuse, and he's like friend of mine, I should say. And he was like, he was so clear that the Nets was gonna be it's 50-50. The Knicks are not relevant. This is like when Kevin Durant said the Knicks weren't cool, and the Nets had James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. And the needle in New York, if the needle was this for Knicks, this is what the needle was when Kevin Durant was there.
Yeah.
Tilted 99%. Anyway, it never happened. It just never happened. And, you know, but how did you become a Knicks fan, bro?
So family. So I was born in a family, Knicks fans. One of my earliest memories, what was it? The Allen Houston game winner versus the Heat.
The Heat,
I remember that. That's
was like 1999, right? 1999.
Okay, I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah, that add up. So yeah, I probably was about 7. But my family was big. John Starks. I had like a Patrick Ewing jersey. And then when Marbury came, that was like defining. Because Marbury was from Brooklyn. I was born in Brooklyn. So Marbury was like our guy. We knew him Lincoln High School. So he was on the right team. He was the right guy. He got us to the playoffs. Like it was a big deal. And by then I was in, and then it got it got rough from there.
I always wonder how younger fans became Knicks fans, because there was nothing for you to cheer about.
It was a dark time.
And you were obsessive and compulsive like the rest of us who cannot.
What's beautiful about that era though, like quickly, is I look back and I think of like the David Lees. I think of, we had Tim Thomas. I think of all those players like fondly. Yeah. Wilson Chandler, Gallo. Like when I think of them, I have good memories, but we were not winning games.
No, but they were still, and the problem was people were still going to the Garden because they're crazy, like me, like we all are. But so I just want to have fun with that. You even had a podcast for the Knicks as well.
Yeah, I was upstate New York Knicks fan. I'm still upstate New York Knicks
and you
fan.
travel like I do. I went to the Kings, Sacramento Kings. I finally got a W. I was like, for
really?
I was well, I went to Lakers, all the Boston. I went to all of those games. Lost all of them. Yeah.
So you go to important games though. I've not been going to important games. I'm like undefeated. We beat the Spurs, we beat the Clippers. Yeah. I did go to 2 playoff games and we won both. So
you went to Philly.
I went to Philly.
With the takeover.
When Joel Embiid was upset that too many Knicks fans. I was there.
That was crazy.
It was fun.
You a little bit more about you and your background. You were a comedian for a minute. Yep. What happened with that?
Honestly, same thing happened with like the Knicks fandom. Pretty much once I got involved in politics, it kind of took over. Like everything it's one of those jobs where your whole life get impacted. And when I was a stand-up comedian, my jokes were my life. So I would talk about being in the military. I would talk about, being a Knicks fan, things that's funny. But like now my life is a lot more public and it's, not as funny, I guess, to talk about, people in there.
you,
Yeah.
that would, so you're not writing anything at all. You just completely.
I think about writing. Like I have some stuff that I think I could still tell on stage, but one is not really my life anymore. Like I'm just in a different stage of life than I was, in 2016. But also it's like touch and go. This is like a weird time. And then the fact that I'm an elected official and, I represent more than myself now, I represent my district, but I know a lot of people look up to me, there's very few black male politicians. So, it's
And
that
when
balance.
when I first met you, we met you as a veteran, so you came back to school to get your degrees.
Yeah, we'll see.
You were voted an outstanding student. You were one of the students that they wanted to feature at OCC. So you was putting in the work back in the day. You still putting in the work, but I mean, you were serious about that then, and they wanted me to talk to you.
Yeah, this was 2016. Was it 2017 or 16? But when I graduated from OCC, that must have been 2017. Yeah, I was a distinguished graduate, and I had been involved in politics on a smaller scale with Bernie's campaign, but on campus we had the Black Lives Matter chapter. We had JAMA, which was the Black Student Union, and we did organizing of the students. But I served in the military and I was able to give back to the country. So I wanted to find a way to give back to the community, give back to OCC. And, I keep finding different ways to do that. And it works for me. It helps.
Your work, I see, is more from the grassroots, but you a fan of Bernie, which,
Yep.
describe that politic and what that means to you.
Yeah. So my whole life, I've been a black man like that. I never questioned, never will question. That can't change. But an identity that I really held strongly that, I don't really have it no more, but I still hold it strongly was I was poor. Bernie was one of the first politicians I heard speak to how expensive it is to be poor. Where like if you don't have money to, get a checkup, pretty soon you're gonna have to go back for a more expensive surgery. If you can't get a teeth cleaning now, you're gonna have to get a root canal later. And he would talk about how expensive it is to be poor and how hard it is to be poor, and that like income inequality. I've never really heard a politician speak to it, but when I think of like human nature, when I think of government, I think that's the role of government. I think that we're supposed to take care of each other, and he was the first person that was speaking directly to that, which spoke directly to me. And
So, Vicky Brackens, our financial guru, talks about how we define poor. And she defines poor as without resources, right? Now, broke is without, it's temporary, but were you without resources as being, would you define yourself without resources and without access? Would you describe yourself as like poor in that regard?
growing up, yeah, like I grew up in a very different situation than I live in right now. Like we've used food stamps. I spent a night or at least a night in the shelter. And I wear that on my sleeve. I have no shame in that. It made me who I am today. And it's definitely not who I am now. But that those experiences, they define you. That was my like formative years. And I tell a story. This was actually one of my stand-up comedy jokes once upon a time, but I had a debit card that, it had all my money on it, and I was hungry one day. I went in McDonald's to buy a McChicken, and the card got declined.
And the McChicken is $1, right?
The dollar McChicken in the car was declined, and it like I literally bought one McChicken, gave it to the cashier, and the woman, she didn't believe it. She was like, "It said it's declined." Like she just was looking at me, and I was like, I just took the car back and walked out. but like, we didn't have much, but we always had enough. And I really believe that, my mother always kept a roof over my head. She never, made us go hungry. But, I didn't have the nicest Jordans. I didn't have, a car.
So weren't you just broke?
Is that broke? I don't know. Broke, low income.
You ate, right? You ate?
Yeah, we ate. We always had cereal. Yeah.
And you had love?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Let's be clear. My family loved me, took care of me. Oh, like none of that was ever in question.
When you talk about it and they know this about their situation, what is it when they hear you say this? What do they say about that?
My family?
Yeah.
They understand it. My mother passed away in 2018 before I got elected, but even then, I've spoke this way, and she saw it more as different, like not as a deficit, just like a different style of living.
Right.
I never needed the Jordans, I never needed any of those things. I always had what I needed, but like growing up, I wanted those nicer things. I wanted a, Marbury jersey. I wanted
well, do you remember when they had the Starberries? Did you have any of those?
I still want Starberries, to be honest with you. They sold out too fast.
For those that don't know, Stephon Marbury, who's a former St. John's, he went to St. John's, didn't he? Yeah. Or somewhere.
Yeah, I know he went to Lincoln. I feel like he played for Rick Pitino, but I don't know.
I forgot.
The St. John's, let's say.
Might
have came from high school. But you go, sorry.
Yeah, Coney Island High School. Let's talk about
I know he went to Coney Island. I know that.
So he's a former Knicks player, and he went in the era of Jordans, and he wanted to make a sneaker available to the masses. And so he designed a nice looking sneaker. And guess how much was it? Do you remember how much?
$15, right?
I thought it was $9.95.
$9.95. Oh, I remember $14.95, but they sold out.
Something like that, right? But he instead of having to pay, whatever Jordans cost now, it was like under $20. Let's say it that way, under $20. And they used to have it if there was a store in the Destiny at Carousel Mall. Okay. And they used to have them on display. Really? It may have been Burlington, if not I think about it. Wow. And they used to have them right there in the front.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I guess that's up here in Brooklyn.
All right. So, but we digress. Let's talk about the aquarium.
Yeah.
And your opposition to it. Yes. There was a recent the county legislature just recently voted to accept $15 million in donations. But you've been very, very vocal against it, saying that the money should be used for other things.
Yes.
How has your stance been supported or vilified, for that matter?
Kind of both. I've seen both sides, and I guess I want to clarify what we voted on last Tuesday. We voted so that donations over $1,500, now they're allowed to be anonymous. So previously, if a big donation came in, let's say, we doing the Knicks. Let's say Jalen Brunson wanted to donate $10 million to the aquarium project.
Right.
It would have to be approved by the legislature because, we want to know who's giving the money, what are they expecting in return, et cetera, et cetera. Where now is not the case. Now those donations are going to be completely anonymous, and we don't know what the donations are going to be paying for. So like there's going to be different exhibits, there'll be like a local, Onondaga Lake exhibit brought to you by Micron or whoever. But we won't know any of that until it's happening, and I don't like that.
But your opposition has been, even at its peak, it's still a money loser, or not as profitable as it would appear to have. For the investment, it's not worth it, is what you're saying. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so my opposition has always been a priorities opposition. So we lead the nation in childhood poverty. We are, we lead the state as well as the nation, absenteeism. We have a lead problem. Like we have a lot of issues in the community. And for the county to make an $85 million investment into anything that doesn't address that, I think is a mistake. I understand the tourism angle where, if you build a nice attraction, people will come to it. But, we haven't seen that model work around the world outside of, Florida or California or places with like really nice weather, the Caribbeans. up here in, central New York, you kind of got to build with meat. You need, you need jobs, you need homes, you need, safe schools. And I would have much rather seen, an aquarium sized investment into housing. I would have liked to seen it into like lead remediation, but it's like a priorities thing. Just recently in December of 2024, there was a funding gap. There was a budget gap. $85 million was allocated, but because of inflation and tariffs and everything, the price has gone up. So now $85 million, the aquarium is going to cost, all we know is north of $100 million. Mm-hmm. We haven't gotten an exact number, and we're actually pretty frustrated about that. But
when you say we are, for who's we? So the Democrats or some of the Republicans as well?
Some of the Republicans as well. So I'll just say the legislature, the county legislature, okay. Both sides. No one has like a solid number. We think the executive's office has a solid number, McMahon's office, but I don't even think they have one.
But the ledge voted in favor of this aquarium, right?
So you go. Sorry.
No, go ahead. They voted in favor. Yeah.
So they voted to put $85 million towards the project. So even then, so the vote took place before I took office in 2022, actually, August 2022. And the $85 million was always like a down payment. Mm-hmm. We were always expecting to get some sort of private donations. We were always expecting to get some sort of outside funding. Mm-hmm. And now that the price tag has gone up, we need a lot more outside funding. Mm-hmm. The legislature in December was asked to do a loan. So an $11 million loan that would be paid back if the private donations came in, but I don't believe the private donations are ever coming in. So, loaning the money to the project to me was just spending more money on the project. But when that loan fell through, something that we did was we took $6.5 million of unused COVID money and put it towards the aquarium. That COVID money could have went for any county purpose, like by definition. So instead of putting it to SNAP, instead of putting it to lead testing, instead of putting it to, helping landlords connect with their tenants better to, do repairs, instead of putting it to so many things, we put it to an aquarium. And I just think that's misplaced priorities. I do.
But I guess,
You go.
No, you're good. You're good with that. What I'm saying, mm-hmm. But it doesn't change the fact that y'all already made that commitment. So you feel me? Like you already made that commitment. So what can you change about that now?
So right now we put $85 million towards the project. Only $22 million, or I think now the number might be $25 million, mm-hmm. has been spent. And that $25 million, most of it has just been stabilizing the inner harbor. So practically an aquarium is millions of gallons of water, or maybe thousands, but it's a really heavy building. It's heavier than the normal building because you have the, building itself, but then you have a bunch of water in it. So we have to make sure the inner harbor can handle it. So a lot of money has been going into stabilizing that. What I've called for in the paper, and honestly, this is why so much heat has come my way, because this makes a lot of sense to a lot of people, but I want us to pause the project. One, find a price tag, like what is the actual price? And then I want to know what else could we use the building for? If we only have $85 million and we know the aquarium is more than that, and we don't have the money for an aquarium, what else could we do with it? Could we use it to, build some kind of sports complex? Could we use it to do housing? Could we use it to build a grocery store? Like if you look at what has been done, we haven't brought in exhibits yet. We're not taking tickets. So there's nothing stopping us as a legislature from, doing the study to say like, okay, for what we have so far, we could use this building to do X, Y, Z. The only thing that's really stopping us is political will, but the political will is not there.
I was going to say the political will is definitely not there.
Not
right
there,
because
sure.
No,
I know.
So you're stuck. You're stuck with that. Yeah. And but I guess, I mean, I've been on the record, is saying that I think aquarium is a good idea. I think we've got to try some things because we're a community of no. right? No, no, no. And then when we have opportunities to do things like put a stadium in a downtown and see that as part of revitalization, and now we see it's wherever it is over there, and it could have been like when it seems like when everyone else is doing something that's progressive, we lock in to no. So that's where I was coming from. The other thing is, have you guys looked at Niagara Falls and their aquarium? It's very small, and I don't know what the numbers are, but I was like, okay, I mean, it's cute. I mean, look, when I went up there, I went to the aquarium. Okay, I did.
There you go.
But it's it's cute. I mean, you go in and you're out before you go in. So, and then the seals, you get to see the seals, and you do the show with the seals. But y'all looked at that?
Yeah, so ours is scheduled to be a lot bigger than theirs and the one in Rochester. So that's the hope is if you build a big, giant attraction, it'll be better than the other ones.
All right, so compared to the one in Coney Island, is it going to be half the size? Oh, not going to be that big.
Yeah, I don't think that big. I guess I could look the exact numbers up, but I know it's not going to be as big as the one in New York or Boston.
Okay.
Those two will definitely be comfortably ahead of us. I know bigger than Rochester, and there's another one that is not as big as ours. I think Toronto has one. Is it Toronto? Okay. But all of these places that I mentioned, they're in the attendance pool. There's a 5-hour commute pool that we're expecting half of our attendance daily to be people who make 5-hour commutes from Cleveland, Toronto, Boston, New York City, Philadelphia.
They're not coming from New York when they could just go to Brooklyn. Okay.
I'm telling you what the study says.
That's what the study.
I don't agree with it, obviously, but the study does project that 500 families a day or 500 people a day are going to make it, and I just disagree.
Maurice Brown, 15th Legislative District Representative. Yes. We're in a very particular time. I just want you to address two things. One, what do you need from the community regarding legislative priorities? Because I think in many ways we let the county off the hook.
Oh, for sure.
We be screaming at the city about everything,
about the
and
mayor.
The county just be moseying right along, and they control way more money and affect way more. I'm on vernacular here.
I mean, you're not wrong, though. Way more of the sales tax, more.
Right.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So how do we get people to be paying attention? Or let me reframe that. People should be paying as much attention to the work in the county as they are and what's happening at the county common council.
Yeah. So I guess, two-part question you asked, what can folks do to support my work? And I guess the second part is more, why aren't people paying more attention to the county? So honestly, I don't know why folks don't pay more attention to the county. The only thing that makes sense to me is, so I know the school board is the most popular. People know the school board because they know their kids and they follow that train. And then the city, the mayor's office has always been the prestigious position, if you will. But what I really think it is just for so long, the county has not done anything to help. People in this community don't see that as a source of power that's meant to help you. And honestly, I'm running to kind of change that misnomer. But for so long, the county has just taken on these pet projects like the amphitheater and things like that. And they haven't been in the housing discussion. We haven't been.
You don't like the amphitheater either?
I don't got nothing against the amphitheater, but if I got to choose an amphitheater or 200 units of housing, easy choice for me.
I hear you. I hear you. So you want to see the community. So what I hear embedded in that then is you want to see community. But if you're the only voice on that, it's not going to work. You need people behind you to say, this is what the community priorities should be.
Yes. And the way I'm going about it is through education. I think the more people learn about the county, I think more, people start to, like, for lack of a better term, wake up. An example, I actually did an explainer video. It's on YouTube. Check out my YouTube channel. But
What's your YouTube channel is called what? Maurice Brown?
Elect Maurice Brown.
Okay.
Elect Maurice Brown, but I do explainer videos pretty much explaining why I voted in different situations. But one of the things that I'm talking about this week is the state of New York. Governor Kathy Hochul, I'll give her flowers in this situation. She put $50 million towards addressing poverty in upstate New York cities. So that $50 million was split between Rochester, Buffalo, and Syracuse. Monroe County or Rochester got 25 million. The city of Syracuse got 12.5. The city of Buffalo got 12.5. That poverty money was given to the counties. It wasn't given to the city of Syracuse. The mayor of the city of Syracuse doesn't get no say over how that 12.5 million gets spent. It's solely made by Onondaga County. And what Onondaga County chose to do, in my opinion, isn't as good as what Erie County chose to do. But folks don't even know that. Like, it just is seen as, Kathy Hochul put this money in, the state is putting the money, but that's all they do. They just give the money. Once they give it to the county, it's on the county to decide what to do. And I think we could have spent that money a little better. But the way our government is set up, a lot of our services go through the county. SNAP is administered at the county level. Lead testing administered at the county level, the Department of Health, county level. And the administration of the services almost matters as much as, the funding of it, where you have to put the money in the right places, in the right community partners. And I don't think we're doing that right now. And, we're getting a fallback.
Yeah. And more to come there. All right. Lastly, we're in a precarious situation. I got to run to another thing, but we're in a precarious situation. That man in the White House is, doing everything that was predicted. So I know, are you hearing from constituents concerned about the impact of the drastic cuts, and what are you telling them?
So we're trying to be as vocal as possible. I'll shout out, Congressman Mannion. He has been listening to our concerns and bringing them back to Albany. Albany to DC. I can confirm that. But the IRS office here in Syracuse, they let go, I think, 10 people. I get services through the VA here, and I know there are at least planned cuts, like people are gonna get fired. I don't know if they've happened already, but when I went to I get services through the VA, and the people told me, this might be the last time you see me, because I go monthly, and that's gonna hurt here. That those people losing their jobs, it's gonna hurt. But me as a veteran getting their services, I'm not the only veteran that goes to the Syracuse VA. So like, these cuts are hitting home, and that poem, they came for Masons. I didn't stand up. I wasn't a Mason. They came for undocumented people. I didn't stand up. I wasn't undocumented. When they came for me, no one was left to stand for me. We're seeing that now, where they've been coming for trans individuals. They've been coming for undocumented people.
Did you hear about that Republican congressman that misgendered I mean, we teach sexual harassment, right? Yeah, that is legit. Like you could get fired from your job from intentionally misgendering someone, and they're doing it. This is how reckless. How reckless. And getting
the veteran? I can't get the name, but the veteran in our we had a trans veteran take their lives in the VA parking lot. Broke my heart. My heart. The name hasn't come out yet. I don't know what's like hiding it, but it's under wraps. But this happened here in Syracuse, and my heart's broken. I've served with trans individuals. They carried the sandbags just like I did. And for us to be doing this right now, I'm not a trans individual. I'm not undocumented. I was born in Brooklyn, but like, it's only a matter of time before they get to me. So you want to stop the train now.
Excuse me, Maurice, you black, right?
I'm Black.
They've been coming for you. Don't trip.
They've been coming for me. This is
They've
true.
been coming. Okay, don't get new on me, brother. They've been coming for us.
They've been coming for me since I was born.
Amen. Let's not get new.
Yes, sir.
Maurice Brown is a Onondaga County legislator representing the 15th district. Tell us what that district is, my brother.
So my district is entirely located within the city of Syracuse. I have no whole neighborhoods, but I have parts of the Meadowbrook neighborhood, parts of the University neighborhood, parts of Outer Comstock, parts of the Valley, parts of the South Side, parts of Strathmore, parts of the Near West Side, and parts of the Elmwood neighborhood.
You a part-time legislator.
Gerrymandering is fun.
Everybody said, well, I got a piece of him. Anyway, Maurice Brown. Mo, thank you so much, man.
Yes,
appreciate
thank you for having me.
Come back anytime.
Easy enough. Thank you. Go Knicks. Always.
Inspiration for the nation.